It's social distancing at the Arizona Chamber, a segment we sometimes call Happy Hour with Hammer. As always, we are joined by the CEO of the Arizona Chamber of Commerce, Glenn Hammer. My name is Garrick Taylor. Glenn,
Good
it's
to
the middle
see
of the
you.
week. How you doing?
Doing well. We got over Wednesday. You've been busy with all the candidate interviews.
Oh my goodness, boy, for another show, I'm sure. Um, Glenn, last week we sat down with the president of the Institute for Legal Reform at the U.S. Chamber, Harold Kim. Flash forward to today, the Arizona Chamber joined state business groups, state chambers from across the country, urging Congress to pass reforms at a federal level to install liability protections for business as they attempt to reopen in the midst of a pandemic. This was a big move from the business community nationwide. Your thoughts on that?
Across the board, this had the signatures from basically every state chamber in the country, and I'm including District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. Wherever you may be in the United States, businesses, there was an interesting story in the New York Times today. Basically every state is reopening, but doing so at different speeds.
Right.
And one of the issues that pops up from every type of business, every sector, every place in the country is the liability issue. If they play by the rules and they in good faith move forward with CDC and local health guidelines, are they still going to face liability if this deadly pandemic is in some way, perhaps unfairly, attached to their place of business? So, for a lot of businesses, this is a top issue.
Sometimes you'll hear, Glenn, what's really to worry about? Are these cases even going to get that far? In some ways, that's the point, though, because it's really top of mind for business owners, and it's causing them to perhaps slow walk their reopening. And we know, Glenn, you said they're going to do it responsibly and safely, but you don't want this hanging over them.
No, that's exactly right, Garrick. And it's the CDC and health agencies have been working with trade groups and experts when it comes to workplace safety to come up with good guidelines. And places of business want to implement them to protect their workers, as well as to build public confidence that, because one hurdle is having the green light from government to open. Perhaps an equally important hurdle, maybe a bigger hurdle, is the consumer confidence to get back to anywhere near the levels of business that particularly these consumer-facing companies enjoyed a couple of months ago. So it's in their interest. And what we want to do is we want to encourage good behavior and not create a dynamic where businesses can be sued out of oblivion. One other point, I would argue that when you take a look at the essential businesses, particularly the Targets and the Walmart that have stayed open, they've done a public good. Why? They've already helped create an environment where consumers and people in different capacities understand the importance of social distancing and wearing masks and other sort of safety protocols. So they've really led, and they've created a positive dynamic even outside of their place of business.
Well, and I know that we were very proud to join onto that nationwide coalition in that message to Congress. But just a few days ago, our chamber with local chambers from across the state and dozens of trade associations sent a very similar letter to Congress. I know you were very pleased with that effort.
Well, I want to thank our own Courtney Coolidge for really lighting a fire across the state, across the different business organizations here. Dozens. I'm not sure what the final number was. I lost track. I don't know, 50 or 60.
It was a lot.
But it was a lot. Dozens of groups representing really every part of the state, every sector said, we need this protection. And I'm very pleased to say that Senate Leader Mitch McConnell has made it very clear that for the next bill to get through on COVID-19, it's got to include good liability protection. And it's very, very important that be accomplished on the federal level because there's a few areas such as securities litigation that really need to be done federally. And a federal type standard would, in my opinion, do more to re-energize the economy than what we can accomplish state by state. It's not to say that we don't have a role in the states. We do. But if you add state activity with a very strong federal package on liability reform, we're going to see this economy return faster, and the 36 million plus jobs that we've lost nationally and over 500,000 in Arizona return a lot faster, in my opinion.
That's right. Yeah, very proud to play an active role in that. All right, issue number 2 this afternoon, the governor, Dr. Ariz, got together at a press conference. Share with us some takeaways and your impressions of the messages that you heard today.
Yeah, it's again, step by step, this economy is re-energizing. The governor made very clear we're firmly, squarely in phase 1. He's made it clear that the green light is not designed to say speed. It's designed to say go, but go carefully. Made it very clear. I believe he used the term physical distancing. We don't want to be socially distant, but physically, we do need to remain 6 feet apart on most occasions. And on the healthcare side, our hospitals have done really just an incredible job of making sure that they could handle a worst case scenario. The good news is that the supply of ventilators is plentiful. The emergency rooms have plenty of space. The hospitals have capacity. The ICUs has remained pretty flat, but there's plenty of beds. And the governor also and Dr. Garrick, focused on that. Understand that there's a lot that needs to be done in congregate care. So there's a focus on testing and PPE when it comes to assisted living, prisons, and things like that. So I felt it was, another indicator that on the healthcare side and on the economic side, we continue to make progress.
Yeah, that is, it was good to have that check-in today. One of the things that the governor talked about is that these benchmarks that the state is reaching, we didn't pull them out of thin air. The governor was comparing Arizona's progress against White House gating benchmarks. And so I think he made very clear today that he is very conscious of what the feds are saying and federal guidance on this.
Absolutely. And also just made it clear, we all have responsibility as citizens. And, like the governor, we're very pleased to report that businesses take this very seriously. And, we're good role models. And, where we can also telecommute, we should continue to do so. We've been doing that at the chamber. Most of the business organizations in the state have been doing that. So, we're still in a situation where we've got a deadly pandemic. The therapies are improving. That's good news. We are getting closer to a vaccine, but neither the treatments or certainly a vaccine are at the point where we can let our guard down.
Right. Glenn, I'm curious, this is a bit of a curveball. You issued a column last week, got picked up in a couple of places. You talked about the need to continue to follow health protocols, and you said, wear a mask. And who knew that wearing a mask would be a controversial thing? Did you get any guff for that, or has everybody been fairly supportive?
No, everyone's fairly supportive. It's not a political statement. I got on a plane on Saturday, and most of the people had masks. Not all. I was a little bit upset at those that didn't have a mask. You're on a plane. It's close quarters. Don't get me sick. Don't get other passengers sick. Don't create a dynamic where any of us feel uncomfortable. So, I just point to I feel that the responsible way the businesses that remained open operated, they've been great role models for other businesses and individuals and how to properly act. I'm not saying wear a mask for vanity. When I'm out, I'll say it when I'm out doing my morning walk and I'm not getting 6 feet close to anyone.
Sure.
I don't have a mask. I have a mask in my pocket in case I'm in some sort of situation where I feel I need to put it on. But if it's a close call, my recommendation would be to put on a mask. Not a political statement, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a point you made in your column too. For those
Oh,
businesses that already require it, good for them.
and I think when you look around the world, the countries that have done, that have been held up as models, South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, the mask part of it has been a big part of the equation. And I'm delighted to say, we have a mask maker in the chamber family, so to speak. Allison Gilbreth, who runs our Arizona Manufacturers Council, her mom has made a couple hundred masks that are in the process of being distributed, and they're beautiful. They're actually fashion statement. So you can it's not a political statement. For some, it may be a fashion statement.
There it is, folks. That's the quote of the year right there. Walk down the runway with your Arizona branded mask.
Big thanks to Liz Griggs. That's Allison's
Absolutely.
mom. So.
All right, last question. Major League Baseball rolls out a plan for coming back for playing. It includes things like getting players out of the dugout, putting them in the stands, and just get dressed at home and come in uniform and go home and shower back at the hotel. Glenn, do you care one way or another, or you just want them to play?
I really just want them to play. I want them to play, and I want them to be safe. I mean, they're human beings as well. We all want them to be safe, but I just want to hear the words "play ball," and I want to hear the words "play ball" in Arizona. And I hope that the owners and the players can get together, as we've talked about, Garrick. It would be such a boost in my opinion, it would put a little spring in the step for the entire country. So I'm encouraged that the talks seem to be ongoing. I appreciate the leadership of the Diamondbacks president, Derek Hall, for all of his work to try to get baseball back up and running. So I'm optimistic that something good is going to happen in the next week or so.
The league better bring a lot of baseballs, because apparently if multiple players touch the ball, you have to bring a new one into play. So a 6-4-3 double play, I mean, it's time to open up a new case.
It's that's worth the expense. And, I hope as time goes by, creatively figure out a way to get some of the fans back in as well. As you think about it, as movie theaters and other things like that open, there may be some creativity down the road. But I'll just get back to the sort of the Governor Ducey approach. Let's just go step by step.
Yeah.
Let's get them back up and playing safely, and then let's go from there and see if we could in some way return the fan experience. But if you see someone running around the park with a mask, it's possible it's me.
Well, stay tuned. We'll tune in. All right. Speaking of tuning in, tune in tomorrow. We will turn our lens once again on higher education, this time community colleges. I won't give away the special guest, but that's the tease. Glenn, I know we're looking forward to tomorrow's conversation.
Can't wait. Thanks, Garrick.
All right, everybody have a good night. Thanks.